And welcome back everyone. This is our player content series, and today I am here to help all those free to play players getting maximum awards possible by doing the simplest things that everyone overlooks. Today we are looking at the arena. Now, some people might laugh and scoff at the arena. I think it's fantastic as a free to play player. It is absolutely vital that you put as much effort into the arena as a free to play as possible, and I will show you why. Now, straight away, I'm going to open up the arena and we're going to have a look at the rewards. All right, these are what we're looking for: drink tokens and universal coupons. Not just that, you're getting components and you're getting arena coins, cash that you can spend on things that you need. When you go into the store, right, there's more drink tokens, there's wrenches, there's VIP points, and there's energy. You can see here I buy up most of the store and I've still got 106,000 coins sitting there ready to go. Now, I'm a free to play player. How do I do it? I don't spend a fortune on those offices, those lounge offices that everyone has, right? So how do you consistently finish in the top, right? And it is a lot easier than you think. Now, I'm going to show you some of the tips and the tricks. I'm not going to sit here and teach you everything because that would be boring, right? There's so many videos and you've seen them all. You know that when you click up your defensive formation, now this, I've just whipped this one together really quickly. This is not my current formation, right? But when you put in your formation, you know that the units at the front are going to be attacked first, and the second line are your support units, right? If you put an infantry and in the back line, it's going to not engage the enemy until it's marched all the way forward, and you're going to be giving the enemy all that skill shot loading time depending on what you're doing. This week we've got tanks and helis only. There's no howitzers, no RD, no rocket launchers, right? No infantry, and no super heavy tanks, right? So it's a matter of understanding the game dynamics. Tanks at the front are going to tank the damage. Your helicopters at the back are going to be dealing the most amount of damage. And I've just whipped these together. Now you can see here up here that I have 162 million in unit power. All of my units are 9.2. They all have officers assigned to them. All right, and you click save. Everyone thinks that's pretty much done and done, right? I can now go and click challenge and I can go challenge as many people as I want. No, right? You need to go to your officers lineup and you need to find your officer and you need to equip gear, all right? So many people forget every week that you can select gear for your officers in the arena, all right? Not only that, the skill set also applies to the arena. So please make sure, tip number one, always putting on gear and skills to your officers when you go to the arena. Now, pro tip number two, and this is where you're going to make the best bang for your buck. Save your arena loadout. Go into your army and actually save it as an arena loadout. Right, so save formation. Yes, I want to save it. Once it is saved, I will show you the difference, right? Because I can go back into the arena now, and here it says, all right, Super Spoon 162 million. I click on my number, and it shows you my loadout, right? So there's my officers, and see, they've all got gear assigned to them except for one, and that's because we don't have enough gear pieces yet in the game, right? Now, this is the trick that people forget, and it's not just when you're on the conquest maps. This is 24/7. What happens when you change loadouts? It changes your arena ability. And I will prove to you. Say that I am on a conquest map at the moment and I want to go into my defensive build, my turtle mode, right? And I've got a loadout here. I might not have these officers equipped in my new loadout. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to go apply officers only, and I am now in my defensive setup. Let's go back into the arena and see what happens. My arena now is 157. Yep, if I go in here, I have officer pairings without their assigned skills and without their assigned gear, unless I happen to be using those officers in my current setup. So many times I jump into the arena and I see the big whales ahead of me have switched. Maybe they're in Navy mode, maybe they're on land, right? Maybe they've switched to their air units and they're playing their air officers. Whatever loadout that they have, they switch regularly. That's your opportunity, right, to win in the arena when other players are switching their loadouts. More often than that, I'm going offline in my arena setup. If I do not have to be on the map defending somewhere in my turtle setup because I'm going offline, I'm going to stay in my arena setup. I'm going to maximize the chances that when they attack me, then they've not noticed that they have to change, right? They might just log in the morning and go bang, bang, bang. They do all their attacks and forget about it because they're normally up the top. They don't care as long as they finish up the top, right? They don't put the effort and thought into equipping it, right? So always, my free-to-play tip is to stay in an arena setup as often as you can or as often as required. If you're online and you're playing and you're attacking, go into your attack strategy. Go for it. Everyone else in your alliance is attacking too. So the odds on them sitting in the arena, not likely. All right. Next free-to-play tip, if you are coming across those whales, switch Battlegrounds. Based on where you are on the server, depends on what battleground you're into. So you can see here I'm in Edinburgh. So if I jump to Giza, I'm going to be still in Battleground 1, but I can jump to some of the other areas on the map, and that will get me out of that battlefield and away from some of those whales. So you can avoid them if there's an abundance. Say that they're doing an event and they're all jumping to the one location. That means on the server reset day, which is the Sunday rolling into the Monday, they're all going to be moved into the same arena battleground. So I want to make sure that my base is somewhere else at reset. You can always jump back straight away, but start somewhere else after reset. Avoid the whales. So if you avoid them, that's one way to beat them. Always stay in some arena setup as often as you can, and that will help support your efforts in defending your points. Now there's a couple of extra points that I want to touch on really quickly. I don't want to make this a long video. Like I said, I'm not going to go through the boring dynamics of pairing officers and the layout designs because it is a tank and heli week. I can't really show you the best optimal setups because I don't have access to infantry and artillery. We'll save that for another episode. All right, but what I like to do is you get a certain amount of challenges depending on your VIP level as well, by the way. So you make sure that you're utilizing your challenges as close to the end of the day as possible. All right. The closer you are to using your challenges by reset will maximize your chance of that higher place finish for the day. And the second point to that is I never, ever, ever, ever use my free challenge coupons Monday to Saturday. I always save them all for the last day. You get one each day, right? So you get 7 by the end of the week. So on the Sunday right before reset, I will use 14 attacks. All right. I am maximizing my chances of that higher ranking at the end of the week. And that's what you want to do. You want to get to the highest position. If you're doing all those attacks early, you're just buffing your score on a Monday, right? top of the rankings on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It just means when someone attacks you and wins, they're drawing a larger payout. They're going to take 20 points off you, and then when you attack them back, you're only going to get 15 or 16 because they're lower ranked. You don't want to peak too soon, all right? So save those freebies for the end of the week and get those 14 hits off, or however many it is. And then you're maximizing your points at the end of the week. And like I said, the weekly, right? Now we switch over to the weekly points, the points at the end of the week. Now we're including the really important buffs. These are the ones that are going to be the difference in your C4 battles when you're making your AGs. The officer skill casting, all right? The plus 5% skill casting, you put that on a unit and put it into an AG, right? Lasts 4 hours. It is absolutely important on those pivotal moments in the game when your AG crashes up against the enemies and you're not sure who's going to win. Generally, the ones who have the faster officer skill are going to come out victorious, all right? Unless you're relying on a whale to come in and back you up and win for you. I don't play that way. All right, my units are going to be strong and powerful. I don't care what whale I come up against. I'm going to give it a go. All right, I'm going to use every advantage I can. I'll use a 40% buff. I'll use a officer skill buff, and I'll use a tactic. Right. So these are the ways that you're going to get ahead. So first thing, I want you to go in and save an arena loadout. Make sure you're using it and leaving your base in the arena setup for as long as you can so you get those defensive kills. Make sure you're picking the battleground that's suitable for you, right? If you can win against those whales because you're playing smart, fantastic. If you're getting dominated by heaps of them, maybe it's time to switch, all right? Give the other battlefield a go. Make sure that you're buying the rewards each week, all right? Go through the store, focus on what you're doing, all right? You don't need to overspend. I like to have these as backup, all right? So if I need to get some rushes or if I need to get some resources, this is a last resort, all right? I can go to the shop and get some. All right, hopefully those tips and tricks help you to start dominating the arena and finishing in those higher places. All right, guys. This is our player content series. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys today. And next week I shall bring you some more tips and tricks. See ya.